She was a feisty young mother rising above her past and living out her truth.
She was a very independent, strong-willed woman.
She was in a common law marriage, and it was a beautiful thing for them.
But in the midst of holiday festivities, she suddenly goes missing.
The calls started going straight to voicemail.
I can't find her. I don't know where else to look.
Did she run off to start a new life?
The spark fizzled out, and Jackie decided she needed more.
He said that she had left and gone to a modeling gig in Miami.
Or will investigators find her closer to home?
Can I just need you to breathe? You gotta control your breathing.
Her body is right under their noses the entire time.
As detectives uncover the secrets of the past, a dark truth comes to light.
I thought we were something special, something to be together forever, but she would leave me.
He tries to say she would just go in and out of his life, that she had a bunch of men in her life.
He would demand to be treated as a god, to be called the Messiah.
He said he was the Antichrist a couple times and his mom was the devil. It was freaky.
And when a second woman vanishes, the fight for answers reaches an all-time high.
Said that she was pulling out. Oh, the God that she's known only too much.
They need to get ahead of this thing fast or risk finding another body.
It's a living nightmare for them.
January 1st, 2018. It's New Year's Day in Dallas, Texas, and the city's residents are winding down after a night of excitement.
New Year's for Dallas, you can pretty much find any type of party or social gathering.
But like most major cities, Dallas gets very busy around the New Year's. Families get together, going from home to home, party to party.
They're celebrating life. They're celebrating a new year, new beginnings. Things are changing and shifting.
But for one local mother, her life has taken a turn in the new year that she never could have expected.
It's been over a week, and she hasn't heard from her daughter, Jacqueline Hughes, who's 34 years old.
Come on, pick up.
Jackie dropped her own two daughters off on the 22nd and was supposed to return for Christmas.
Instead, Jackie's mother had received a single text message.
The last time that she had heard from her daughter was on Christmas Day, when she texted her to say Merry Christmas.
After that, she doesn't hear anything else from Jackie.
Jackie's mother is experiencing just extreme panic and worry.
Jackie, you're really freaking me out. Please, call me back. The girls miss you.
Jackie was considered a strong mom. She never abandoned her kids.
There's that cold spine tingling feeling where you know something is wrong.
Jacqueline Jackie Hughes refused to let her past define her.
Growing up on the south side of Dallas, she got into a lot of trouble.
Jackie was feisty. She was not gonna allow anyone to tell her what to do.
She started getting in trouble in middle school, and that kind of went into fighting, just getting into some heated arguments in high school, which ultimately landed her in juvie.
As a young adult, she also got into some trouble.
But since becoming a single mom in her late 20s, Jackie had worked hard to stay on the straight and narrow.
Jackie was a very independent, strong-willed woman.
She was taking classes at a local trade school for a better future for her and her girls.
And it was there she met someone who seemed like the perfect partner, 37-year-old Stella Andrews.
Hey. Hey. Great job on your presentation in class earlier. I wish I was good at public speaking.
Oh.
It would be a bit terrifying.
I guess there's not much that really scares me.
There was an instant connection and attraction between them.
So it wasn't long before they became a couple.
They consider themselves in a marriage type of relationship. She was also like a mom figure to the kids.
They were living their truth. They were living the life that they wanted for themselves, and it was a beautiful thing for them.
However, after almost a decade together, Jackie became restless.
After a long 9 years, their relationship began to fade.
The spark fizzled out, and Jackie decided she needed more.
So she turned to the World Wide Web.
She meets someone new online and connects with 31-year-old Brandon Sampson.
Brandon actually came from a really good family. His father was a local tax accountant. His mother was a PhD doctorate professor at a local college.
He's handsome, he's smart, he's funny. And they like the same type of music.
They didn't waste any time arranging to meet in person.
Yeah, so this is it. This is where I do my thing, make my music.
Well, this is so cool, though.
Brandon went to school for media technology and hopes of becoming a music producer. He even had a music studio in his house on the south side of Dallas.
Can you show me how this works?
Of course, yeah. Come right here.
Jackie was really intrigued by Brandon's career in the music industry. That's not something she was familiar with, so that was really alluring to her.
While Jackie was excited about Brandon, she kept their budding relationship under wraps.
Stella was really in the dark about all this. Jackie didn't tell her about Brandon.
Well, I think Jackie kept it from her, to protect her feelings.
But not long after meeting Brandon in person, their relationship hit the fast track.
It started out very hot and heavy from the very beginning. Their relationship moved very quickly.
Jackie and her daughters moved in with Brandon within weeks of the meeting.
Kids.
It's fine. They're heavy sleepers.
Jackie is really head over heels for Brandon, and they have this chemistry that is addictive. It's like a drug for her.
But as of January 1st, it's been more than a week since any of Jackie's friends or family have spoken to the young mother.
Jackie, I'm really freaking out. Please, give me a call back.
Instead of enjoying the holidays with her family, Jackie has disappeared.
And Jackie's mother can't contain her fears any longer.
By this time, the mom said, I need to go to the police station.
She rounds up Jackie's two daughters and they head to Dallas PD.
Tell me the deal with your daughter.
I can't find her. I don't know where else to look.
After a 9-year relationship with her girlfriend, Stella Andrews, fizzled out, Jacqueline Jackie Hughes found a new flame in 31-year-old aspiring music producer, Brandon Sampson.
He could show her things that she had never seen before, maybe take her places she had never been before. So this was exciting for Jacqueline.
Within weeks, Jackie and her daughters had moved into Brandon's house.
But by New Year's Day 2018, Jackie's loved ones haven't heard from her in a full week.
On January the 1st, Ms. Hughes made officers aware that she's been trying to get in touch with her daughter.
Tell me the deal with your daughter.
We've been out looking for her. We've been going to the places, talking to people, and they haven't heard from her either.
Miss Hughes tells officers how Jackie never returned to pick up her kids after dropping them off on the 22nd.
She also tells him about the suspicious text she received from Jackie on Christmas Day.
She texted on Christmas Day and said, Mama, will you tell the kids I said Merry Christmas?
Miss Hughes texts Jackie back asking when she's coming over, but there's no response, so she tried calling.
So I called back. I didn't get no answer. Okay. I kept calling and kept calling. I wouldn't get no answer. Then next thing you know, the phone started going to the voicemail.
Jackie's mother says as several more days passed without any word from Jackie, she and her family tried everything they could to locate their missing loved one.
She reaches out to Jackie's former girlfriend, Stella Andrews, but Stella does not know where she is.
Jackie, I'm begging you, please, call me back.
We called the jail, we called the hospital. So I said, well, my next stop is I gotta go make a missing person report because I can't find her. I don't know where else to look.
But since Jackie is a healthy adult, there's only so much police can do.
Police file a report, but it's not your typical missing persons report.
It was just wanted to locate report due to the age of Jackie, and it'll make her aware that her family is looking for her.
It's pretty much, you know, hey, your family's looking for you. You need to give them a call.
Officers also offer to execute a welfare check at Jackie's last known address.
Where was the last place y'all know she was staying at?
Miss Hughes tells the officer that Jackie had recently moved in with a new man that she started dating, but she doesn't know his name.
And she was staying, one of the girls that told us that they were staying over in Cedar Hill.
Miss Hughes says, in fact, she'd tried searching for Jackie there herself.
They didn't answer the door. When I went over there, they didn't answer the door. Okay.
When officers head to the residence, they're also out of luck.
They knocked on the door, but nobody answered. So at that point, they really couldn't do anything. Their hands were tied.
However, they do learn the owner of the home is a man named Brandon Sampson. So they assume this must be the man Jackie has been dating.
After receiving no response at the residence, the police officers leave their business card on the front door with a note directing Brandon to reach out to them once he returns home.
Police also follow up with Jackie's former flame, Stella Andrews.
Okay, you and Jackie, you consider yourself common law married to her?
Yeah, you can say that.
Y'all been together for 9 years?
Yes.
She confirms they separated recently, but says they remain close.
We were like, we separated for a minute, but we're like...
Still seeing each other?
Yeah.
Stella didn't even know Jackie had started dating someone new.
Had you ever known her to go to this house?
I didn't even know she was going. I didn't even know she was...
Do you know this guy, Brandon?
No, she was hiding from me. And I kept asking her because I was like, something was right, because you know your spouse.
Stella said the last time she verbally spoke with Jackie was around December 21st.
And everything seemed to be fine then?
Yes.
Did she tell you where she was?
No.
Stella assures detectives she'll let them know if she hears anything from her missing loved one.
I need you to keep your ears open, and if somebody knows something, we need to get their ass up in here. Point blank.
I'm on it.
3 more days pass without any sign of Jackie.
Jackie's family is extremely concerned for her. They've put out flyers, they put out notices, they're talking about on Facebook if anybody's seen her. It's a living nightmare for them.
But on the evening of January 4th, police dispatch receives a shocking phone call that will send this missing persons case spiraling in an entirely new direction.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, I need somebody here like as soon as possible.
The caller is begging for help.
Can I see the somebody got shot?
And she seems to be comforting someone else in the background.
Breathe, oh, breathe, breathe. You gotta control your breathing.
3 days after filing a want-to-locate report for missing mother Jackie Hughes, Dallas police have received an alarming 911 call.
I need somebody. Yes, I need somebody here like as soon as possible.
The caller is begging for help, and she seems to be comforting someone else in the background.
Breathe, oh, breathe, breathe. You gotta control your breathing.
The caller identifies herself as 21-year-old Monica Ellis, and she says her friend has been shot.
Yes, somebody got shot. I need an ambulance here like ASAP.
Where are you?
The address is one police are already familiar with.
It's the same location of Jackie Hughes' last known address, the home of her boyfriend, Brandon Sampson.
Ma'am, they're driving to you, okay?
Okay.
Once on scene, EMTs tend to the shooting victim, a friend of Brandon's named Derek Knox.
Brandon and Monica are unharmed, but Derek has been shot twice in the leg.
Fortunately, he's expected to make a full recovery.
As paramedics transfer Derek to the hospital for treatment, officers stay behind to take a statement from Brandon and Monica.
Brandon, are you aware we were here a few days ago regarding the disappearance of Jackie Hughes?
What? No.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk to you about. But first, let's talk about this evening. What happened?
Brandon says it all started around 7 p.m.
He says he was at his house with a couple of friends just sitting around. And all of a sudden, there's banging on the door.
Hey, where is she? Where's Jackie? Where's my sister?
Brandon says it was Jackie's brother and another man he didn't recognize.
I can see y'all in there.
Come with me, Cody.
What you got going on, man?
It's nothing, man. Just go lock the front door for me.
Brandon runs to the back. The friend runs to the door to try to latch it and ends up getting sprayed with bullets.
Brandon's friend got shot through the door, and the shooters fled the scene.
Brandon says he and Monica immediately rushed to Derek's aid and tried to stop the bleeding.
Which is when Monica calls 911.
I need somebody here like soon as possible.
That sound like an accurate depiction of events to you, Monica?
Yeah. I didn't get a good look at the shooter, but that's what happened.
And you're sure Jackie's brother did this?
Yes, sir. He's been here multiple times, looking for his sister, harassing me.
Do you know where she is?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was trying to tell him before he came over here the first time, but he wouldn't believe me.
Brandon said Jackie went to Miami for a modeling gig and to start a new life.
He says he drove her to the airport on the 25th, and he hasn't heard from her since.
I was pretty bummed about it, to be honest, but I guess she's just following her dreams, so.
He says he figured their relationship had run its course and it was time to move on.
To police, Brandon's story about Jackie's disappearance is somewhat suspicious.
Why would Jackie leave her family without so much as a goodbye?
But now they have a second crime to investigate.
They needed to figure out who shot Derek. Was Jackie's brother really the one responsible?
After Derek is released from the hospital, investigators meet up with him to take a statement.
Derek is still in a lot of pain from his injuries.
Thanks for waiting. How you doing?
Terrible.
Terrible.
Yes.
Pretty quickly, Derek confirms Brandon's account and says Jackie's brother is the one who shot him.
How do you know it was the brother?
Because he reached out to me while I was in the hospital.
He reached out to you? What did he say?
He was trying to be apologetic and saying that he didn't mean to hurt me. He was really trying to go for Brandon.
Derek is also able to pick Jackie's brother out of a lineup as the one who shot him.
That's pretty damning evidence.
After wrapping up their conversation with Derek, investigators immediately bring Jackie's brother in for questioning.
All right, so man, like I said, appreciate you coming down there. We're trying to get down to the bottom of this because, everything is fresh for us, okay? So.
He admits he has been to Brandon's house multiple times looking for his sister.
I had been over damn near each day, knocking on the door like I'm the police. I'm trying to find her, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I can't keep taking my mama crying, you know what I'm saying? I can't do it.
Can I help you, man?
Where's my sister?
You mean Jackie? She went to Miami, man. I haven't seen her since like Christmas Day.
Jackie's brother says immediately that he knew Brandon's story about Jackie flying to Miami for a modeling gig was BS.
I'm like, hell no. Yeah. I'm scared of heights. She's scared of heights. Nobody finna do no flying. And she ain't gonna get at me before she go anywhere.
Yeah.
First of all, Jackie is deadly afraid of flying. She wouldn't even get on a plane, and Jackie had never had a modeling career. That was nothing she had ever discussed with anyone.
Come on, man. Ain't no way.
You expect me to believe that?
It's not about what I expect you to believe, bro. I'm telling you the truth.
So he was like, oh, well, maybe she misled me. I said, oh, no. You can quit lying right now, man. It ain't gonna fly. So I tell him, well, I'll be in touch. You know what I mean? You gonna see a lot of me from her until I find my sister.
Despite his suspicions of Brandon, Jackie's brother says he didn't have anything to do with the shooting that took place at Brandon's home.
Were you over on that street that night?
No, I went over on that street.
Regardless, police have no choice but to place him under arrest.
You got picked out of a lineup. We have a warrant for your arrest for the shooting, okay? They're gonna take you down to jail, you get bonded out, and we're gonna sort all this out, okay? Unfortunately, that's what we got when we got a witness that picked you out.
Following the arrest of Jackie's brother, investigators looked deeper into Brandon Sampson's claim that Jackie flew to Miami.
Really? So they first called the airline to see if there was a ticket for Jackie out to Miami at any time that day.
There was no record of a Jacqueline Hughes purchasing a flight to Miami or anywhere else for that matter.
Did Jackie lie about where she was going, or did Brandon?
Someone isn't telling the truth here.
And on January 8th, Jackie's mother makes another discovery that will turn the case on its head.
She sees social media posts from Brandon from that same day.
In these posts, Brandon is implying that he has murdered Jackie Hughes.
Two weeks after Jackie Hughes was last seen, investigators are beginning to suspect her boyfriend, Brandon Sampson, could be involved in her disappearance.
Brandon gave the story that she had left and gone to a modeling gig in Miami.
But investigators can't find any evidence to support Brandon's account.
There is no history of Jacqueline Hughes purchasing a ticket to Miami or anywhere else for that matter.
Jackie's family is convinced that Brandon is lying.
And on January 8th, Jackie's mother makes an alarming discovery that fuels their suspicions.
She sees social media posts from Brandon from that same day. And the most concerning post of all is one that says, "She's gone. Stop looking for her. I'm gone too."
In these posts, Brandon is implying that he has murdered Jackie Hughes and that maybe Brandon is attempting to flee as well.
Homicide.
Jackie's mother immediately alerts detectives to Brandon's cryptic Facebook post.
That's when they start, okay, he could have more involvement than what we think. And they end up upgrading it to a critical missing.
And detectives confirm that now Jackie isn't the only one missing.
Brandon is nowhere to be found. He is not at home, and he is not answering his phone.
So police issue a BOLO that alerts any law enforcement agency to be on the lookout for an individual fitting Brandon's description.
For their next step in the investigation, police start tracking down Brandon's friends and family.
Some of their most eye-opening interviews are with Brandon's ex-girlfriends.
They found that Brandon has a history of violence against women.
Very soon after we started dating, it started to get abusive. He was standing over me with a knife. He was grabbing me and he was choking me.
Did you ever make any police reports on him?
No, called the cops once, but I didn't file a report.
His past girlfriends didn't want to prosecute. There was a lot of unreported abuse.
Thank you for allowing me to talk to you and have a good night.
Brandon was a very dangerous manipulator. He would love bomb them, offer them unconditional love, support, and then he would withdraw that.
And his desire for control didn't stop there.
He would demand to be treated as a god, to be called the Messiah.
Did he reference himself as like a god when it came down to women?
He would talk about like he gonna have like 7 wives and all that stuff, and he gonna have his kids, like he gonna have everybody live in one house, you know, that type of crazy stuff.
With all the new information the police have gotten, they feel confident that they have enough to bring to the judge for a search warrant for Brandon's house.
On January 9th, police descend upon the home of Brandon Sampson. And while most of the house appears normal, the garage is anything but.
Upon entering the garage, the police are immediately hit with a strong odor.
It's that distinct smell that most law enforcement know is that of a dead body.
They move items out of the garage, and the more items they move, the stronger the smell becomes until they see something wrapped in a blue blanket.
That's when police make the grisly discovery they've been dreading.
Dreadlocks was hanging outside the blanket.
This is the body of Jacqueline Hughes.
After executing a search warrant on Brandon Sampson's home, Dallas investigators have made a dreadful discovery in the garage. The body of Brandon's missing girlfriend, Jackie Hughes.
After they unwrap the blanket around her, they find she's partially decomposed.
Investigators believe it's likely Jackie has been in Brandon's garage since Christmas Day.
It's crazy to think that when the police responded to the house after the shooting on January 4th, Jackie's body was under their noses the entire time.
Now investigators are able to begin piecing together the events that led to Jackie's death.
It was 30 below in temperature, so that offset decomp.
It actually aided the investigation because the detectives were able to obtain more information from her body.
Investigators noticed clear signs of blunt force trauma, particularly to Jackie's head.
It was enough that it bruised, so that tells us that she was still alive when that injury was sustained, so it wasn't post-mortem.
But the brutal beating wasn't what ultimately took Jackie's life.
Her actual cause of death was a gunshot wound to the chest.
Jackie was shot 2 times, once in her lung, the other one in her aorta, and she bled out from seconds to minutes.
When the projectiles were recovered from Jackie's body, they were determined to be .22 caliber bullets.
Now that they are armed with proof that Jackie was murdered, they file an arrest warrant for Brandon.
Dispatch, let's update that bolo to wanted for murder.
Dallas police are now putting even more resources into tracking Brandon down.
But when detectives get their hands on Brandon's phone records, it's clear he's fled out of state.
I was able to map his phone and saw that he left the day after the shooting incident and started heading towards California.
However, the trail goes cold in San Bernardino.
It seems as though when he made it to San Bernardino, he either turned off his phone or got rid of it. There's been no activity on his phone since January 11th.
Days go by with no new leads, but on January 19th, detectives receive a surprising phone call.
Detective Cheney.
The woman's name is Janice Hansen, and the reason for her call is nothing they could have expected.
Janice said that she was referred to them after she contacted the Dallas police to report her 21-year-old daughter, Monica Ellis, missing.
It's the same Monica Ellis that was at Brandon's house the night of the shooting. Night of the shooting.
The last time I talked to her was on January 3rd, when she came to the house and said that she was moving out. With the guy that she's known only 2 months.
She learned that Brandon was wanted for murder, and she tried to contact her daughter, but couldn't get a hold of her.
I never would expect this, that she'd go and meet someone that's done something like this. And I don't know where she is. She hasn't talked to me. She hasn't called or texted.
Now, Janice is terrified that her daughter Monica has become another victim of Brandon's.
Knowing what Brandon is capable of, detectives share Janice's concerns.
Police knew they needed to get ahead of this thing, and fast, or risk finding another dead body.
They immediately start looking for Monica and pull her phone records, but just like Brandon's phone, they found that it has been deactivated.
2 more weeks pass with no leads on Brandon's or Monica's whereabouts. But on February 3rd, investigators receive another promising tip.
It's from a woman living in San Bernardino, California, which is the last place Brandon's phone pinged.
She told me, I got a guy that you are looking for a murder stand with my father.
Finally, investigators have the lead they've been praying for.
In February of 2018, Dallas investigators finally have a promising lead on the whereabouts of 31-year-old fugitive Brandon Sampson.
Brandon is wanted for the murder of his former girlfriend, Jackie Hughes, and is implicated in the disappearance of his current girlfriend, Monica Ellis.
Investigators' new lead comes from a woman over 1,000 miles away in San Bernardino, California.
She told me, I got a guy that you are looking for a murder stand with my father.
In tandem with Dallas police, California investigators swiftly descend on the home.
They just happened to catch him when he was out in the lawn drinking his coffee.
Brandon Sampson, you're under arrest.
Man, I didn't do nothing, man.
Worried that Brandon might have done the same to Monica as he did to Jackie, officers demand to know where she is.
Where's Monica Ellis?
She's inside.
Was Monica another victim of Brandon's at this point?
Brandon, what's going on?
Let me see your hands.
They discovered that Monica is not hurt, that she is safe.
Officers are relieved that Monica is unharmed. And as they clear the home, they come across a piece of evidence that further implicates Brandon in Jackie's murder.
They found a .22 caliber firearm underneath the bed that Brandon was sleeping on.
This was the same type of weapon that was used to kill Jackie Hughes.
After Brandon is extradited back to Texas, Dallas investigators are eager to sit down with him.
I'm gonna get to this straight. We did find Jackie, and she is deceased. And so Jackie was found at your residence.
No way.
Yes. You have any clue about that?
No, I didn't know she was found at my residence or anything like that.
Brandon insists that he's innocent, he had nothing to do with this.
Really, he starts with victim blaming, is what we call it. Jackie was the problem. Jackie was the one playing with my emotions, and Jackie left me.
Me and Jackie's relationship was a confusing relationship because I thought we were something special, something to be together forever. And she thought the same thing in my eye, but she would leave me.
He tries to say she would just go in and out of his life, that she had a bunch of men in her life.
He also denies making the social media post that would link him to Jackie's murder.
You never posted anything on Facebook?
Hell no, I never posted
You sure?
on Facebook. I'm 100%. I hadn't had a Facebook or touched
You have quite a few
No. What I'm
Facebook
saying is,
pages.
I haven't had a Facebook or touched a Facebook or anything like that since before Christmas.
He denies that he knows anything. So the detectives try several different ways to confront Brandon with evidence that they have been gathering.
You know, there's some projectiles that was found inside Jackie's body. Would that projectiles be shot from that gun that you was caught with?
No, it shouldn't be at all.
It shouldn't. And you should say yes or no. You
What
should
I'm
know.
saying is no, because I never shot that gun before.
He never really admits to anything in terms of shooting that firearm.
You could tell he was lying.
And you're not telling me the truth,
No,
bro.
I'm telling you the truth, sir.
You have nothing to do with Jackie's death.
Nothing to do with Jackie.
But investigators are confident they're looking at Jackie's killer.
He knew Jackie was dead. He knew Jackie was in that garage. And so any version that he may give now that he had nothing to do with her death is out the window.
At the end of the interview, they charge him with murder.
He was charged with first-degree murder, which carries a punishment range of 5 years in the penitentiary up to life in prison.
As investigators prepare for trial, they sit down with Brandon's new girlfriend, Monica Ellis.
She seems like she can be a really strong witness for them in court if she's willing to be forthcoming about her relationship with Brandon.
There's some questions I have to ask you. Hopefully you'll be truthful.
Yeah.
Okay, I just kind of want to lay the grounds of when did you meet Brandon?
I was talking to him on tag.
Monica met Brandon online around the same time he was talking to Jackie.
He completely enchanted her very, very quickly, and the same pattern started all over again.
But it wasn't long before Monica started to see Brandon's true colors.
Yeah, because it was weird because he was starting to threaten me and he was like, oh, you ready to die? You want death to come upon you? I'm like, no, I don't want death.
When did he start doing that?
That third week before y'all filmed, really.
Did he have a reference to you as he was a god?
Yes, like he's a Messiah. He said he was the Antichrist a couple times and his mom was a devil. And, it was freaky.
What really started to get scary for her was when that shooting happened. She knew something was up when they were going to California, but she was too scared to really try to leave. She didn't know what was going on.
When did you find out when he was on? When we took him in the concert?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's when I found out she was in that garage and everything. I did not know that.
They believe her story that she knew nothing about him having murdered Jackie.
To investigators, it's clear Monica Ellis is just another one of Brandon's many victims.
With Monica's statement in tow, investigators feel even more prepared to face Brandon Sampson in court.
And on July 30th, 2019, Brandon's trial begins.
Jackie had a feisty personality, and that conflicted with Brandon's God complex. And the prosecutors set the stage for demonstrating that these two dynamic personalities boiled over on Christmas Day.
You ain't no God. You just a cat with a big mouth.
You can't speak to me that way.
I speak to you however I want to. You don't own me.
And I think really that's when the violence came out in Brandon Sampson against Jackie.
But Jackie was a fighter, and she wasn't going down easy.
Leave me alone, you psycho!
That is when he escalated and got the gun to shoot her.
You're gonna regret it.
His God complex allowed him to believe that he was bulletproof and no one was ever going to find out about what he did. So after he killed her, Brandon piled some things on top of her and ultimately tried to forget about her.
It is possible that he sent the Merry Christmas text to Jackie's mother to make her think that she was still alive, but investigators are unable to confirm that.
When the jury retires to deliberate, prosecutors hope the jury will see through Brandon's facade.
It wasn't a quick verdict. Obviously, they had a lot of evidence to consider.
But after the jury comes back with their verdict, they come to the conclusion that Brandon would be charged with first-degree murder.
He's sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years.
She had a huge family showing at her trial, and when the sentence came out that they found him guilty, it was one of the greatest celebrations.
And Jackie's brother was there celebrating alongside the rest of her loved ones.
The charges against him for the shooting at Brandon's house were dropped, and they never officially confirmed who shot Derek.
To this day, Jackie's case continues to impact those who fought hard to see justice served.
For me now, I have a different way of looking at missing persons. Don't just write it off as, hey, they just probably don't want to be bothered. Actually, put some time into it, because that missing person can easily be a Jacqueline.
She was just a good mom, a good sister, and a good daughter that did her best, but unfortunately, she crossed paths with an individual that ultimately took her life in a horrific way.
Abuse is never okay. If you or someone you love is in an abusive relationship, there is help available. Call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE.
Anthony was a great person, man. Kind-hearted, loved his kids, and he'll give you the shirt off his back. When we got the news, I got to like a corner, and I just balled up, man. I was just crying because I couldn't believe it.
He spotted someone sort of pop out from behind the house wearing all black.
Multiple gunshots ring out, followed by the sound of screeching tires.
He felt very disrespected, and so he wanted revenge.
He's been humiliated. You've got to retaliate.
He was so angry.
Community. DeKalb County Police need your help identifying a group of men accused of killing a security guard.
He tried to stop him and they shot him.
This was an execution.
A young detective must piece together.
He was right here. Fire him.
An unbelievable whodunit.
You think you're one step closer and you go 2 steps back.
It was crazy. A grainy video with a key clue.
We knew at the time we were looking for quite a few guys involved in this.
Puts the investigation on a path.
I think I see the suspect's vehicle.
Riddled with deception.
I wasn't in no murder.
He didn't know what to believe.
Police, open up.
Before finally leading to the killing.
It's not what you think.
The biggest thing the detective has to do now is shut the F up and listen.
All right, let's hear it.
We spent our careers solving Atlanta's most puzzling homicides.
But there are other investigators just like us.
With the passion and skills needed to solve the most unbelievably challenging murders.
These are their cases. We're driving out here in DeKalb County, just outside of Atlanta.
Most of Atlanta is Fulton County, but some of it is DeKalb County. And sometimes the way DeKalb intersects with Atlanta, when I was a patrolman, you wouldn't know which side of the street was Atlanta jurisdiction or DeKalb. So we were tight with the detectives in DeKalb homicide because they had to always close some really tough cases.
In fact, in the winter of 2022, they caught a wild murder mystery. And it all started at this very location.
I need for somebody to get the courtesy dog.
Okay.
Immediately, there's been a shooting. Our guard has been shot. Oh my God.
Is there any way you can make contact with him, ma'am?
He's on the phone right now, but he's not responding.
All right, ma'am. We have police, fire, and EMS en route, okay?
Oh my God, please hurry.
Guard will be in a black truck by the service bay.
When the first responding officers arrive on scene, they find the victim. He's inside of a pickup truck. He's bleeding. He's unresponsive. So their priority at that point is to get him to the hospital.
I got 1 male shot. I need EMS.
As homicide detectives, you're always going to get scenes where people are in the throes of death. And a lot of times they'll call us out because there's a low expectation of survival, and this situation was no different.
DeKalb County Detective J.B. Williams is assigned as lead on the case. This guy was a rising star in DeKalb homicide.
I grew up in the city of Atlanta.
I just always had an interest in law enforcement. One of the shows I used to watch growing up as a kid was Cops. Then the First 48, it's just interesting to see how they would put everything together. So that grew my interest in going into law enforcement and later on becoming a homicide detective. My godfather, actually, he was a sergeant with the DeKalb County Police Department, and he told me to apply with them. And I started the 4th of November in 2013. In June of 2019, I was promoted up to the Homicide Assault Unit.
Photograph everything.
Yes, sir.
At that point, I probably worked a couple hundred cases of shootings and or homicides.
We're talking about a Gen Zer that's got the zeal, the vim, and the vigor that we had when we started.
All right, what do we know?
Our victim is a white male, 2 gunshot wounds.
JB comes to find out his victim in this case is 24-year-old Henry Ashley, a security guard assigned to that particular property.
Working the graveyard shift, man.
The dealership was recently robbed, too.
That dealership had a previous break-in, so they were trying to be proactive by getting security at the location so it wouldn't happen again.
And this is how the truck was found?
Yep.
When the responding officer arrived on scene, they did locate his vehicle, crashed into another vehicle that was parked in the dealership parking lot. That was an indicator that the vehicle wasn't in park when he was shot.
Did Mr. Ashley have a gun on him?
He did. It's in the truck.
The fact that this victim had his weapon on his seat, but the weapon was unfired. He didn't even have a chance to level that weapon in defense of his own life.
Victim was caught by surprise.
So this looked to us a straight-up assassination.
Yep, they got the drop on him. Find shell casings?
Yes, sir, right over here.
All right.
There were several bullet holes in his hood and also his door. The shell casings were approximately 10 to 15 yards from where the vehicle came to arrest.
We found 8.
What size?
9 mil.
8 times seems focused. I mean, that's really leaning into it. Almost sounds like overkill.
We've had cases in the past where multiple shots means it's vengeance.
Was it random, or was it some other focused event? These are the questions you ask yourself as an investigator.
He was right here. Fire him. Bang. Bang. Bang.
J.B. Williams had to consider that this was a personal assassination of this particular victim.
There has got to be a lot of cameras out here.
When you come to a crime scene like this, you've got no eyewitnesses. The business is closed. This is after hours. And so you have to rely on the technology as critical.
Did you talk to the business about the cameras?
Definitely. They're supposed to download everything, send it right to us.
Okay.
It was kind of exciting that we did have the video so we can kind of know what took place leading up to those moments prior to the victim getting shot.
JB is about to get more good news.
Found something. It's a phone.
Do you know if the victim had his phone on him when you found him?
I think he did.
Since we found out it wasn't the security guards, we believed that it was going to be the suspect's or the shooter's phone that he dropped.
This is Christmas at any homicide scene. This is almost like the shooter dropping their ID card.
Bag it. Let's get this into evidence right away.
That phone was a big piece of evidence that we wanted to get into and look into.
This is JB.
Mr. Ashley didn't make it.
When you get that call while working a scene that your victim is passed on, has died, you'll never get a chance to talk to them and further this investigation. Your heart goes in so many places, it's gut-wrenching.
With little else to go on at the scene, it was time to speak with Henry Ashley's wife. One of the hardest things a homicide detective has to do is knock at a door at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and tell a family that their loved one had been killed. It takes a toll on any detective that has to do that.
I don't understand.
He left for work, and his family expected him back home later that morning to come back home to his son and his wife, but he couldn't do that because of this senseless act.
When was the last time you spoke to your husband?
Earlier he called me. He knew something was wrong.
The victim told his wife he had a bad feeling about that night, that literally the hair on the back of his neck was standing up, almost as if it was a premonition that something was going to happen. Moments later, shots rang out.
I know this is hard, but we need your help.
What do you need?
We rely heavily on these family members to help us solve their case. They know everything about this victim. If they had some type of beef with somebody.
Did your husband have any enemies?
No. No one.
This victim had nothing going on with anybody. He was well liked by friends and family. So this case really shifted in the direction of this is probably a property crime that turned into a homicide.
Well, we appreciate your time, and I'll be in touch, okay? 1 second. JB?
Hey, JB, we have video surveillance from the dealership.
Okay, I'll be right down.
This entire murder could have been caught on film. Quinn and I met with JB to see the footage with our own eyes.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, Vince?
JB, how you doing?
JB, heard some good things about you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
man, I heard you had a video for us.
Yes, I got some great video for you guys. Back, man.
All right.
Head back to the office.
Let's do it.
Bad. Having video like this tells the story.
This is the security footage approximately 20 to 30 minutes prior to the shooting actually happened.
That's his vehicle right there?
Yes, this is his black truck, the security truck, and he's sitting here just like a normal night.
JB shows us a different camera, which picked up something suspicious.
And we can see these guys coming from the wood line, walking onto the dealership's property.
Wow. You got 5 guys coming out the wood line like stormtroopers. We don't have 1 person, we got 5. So what's really going on here?
And this is how the truck was found?
Yep.
DeKalb County Homicide Detective J.B. Williams is investigating the murder of security guard Henry Ashley.
They got the drop on him.
He was gunned down in cold blood while working the overnight shift.
And we can see these guys coming from the wood line.
You can't really see their faces, but surveillance video shows multiple suspects. I'm like, this is huge.
So looking at this video, they're not communicating. Doesn't look like they're talking, almost as if they've had this planned out.
Those 5 individuals then enter the service bay and proceed to try to get keys for vehicles to steal from the location.
A short time later, Henry Ashley interrupted the robbers' plans.
We believe they heard the vehicle pulling up to the area where they ran the security vehicle, and you can see them begin to flee the location.
You see 4 of the 5 suspects run from around the building and disappear.
And so right here, one thing to notice is there are 4 guys right here.
Right.
That's right. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. And here's the security truck coming at the top of your screen. As you can see, the security guard truck go back towards the front of the dealership. We see all the guys run off, but we noticed that 1 guy was left behind, so he's like, what's gonna happen next?
Moments later, the fifth suspect emerged from the shadows on the other side of the building.
You're gonna notice he's coming out of the service bay.
Oh, wow.
He thinks the security guard is gone right now.
So he's running in the same direction that we saw the security vehicle driving towards.
Correct. The security guard proceeded to drive through the parking lot, and something catches his eye. He stops and backs up. And that's when we believe he encountered that last individual that was on camera.
The murder, the actual killing, is not caught on camera. It's actually obscured by the brick and mortar of the business itself.
Shortly thereafter, the fifth guy ran off.
So no doubt, your thoughts are number 5 is your shooter.
100%.
Even though the murder happened in a blind spot, it's chilling nonetheless. And the next thing you see moments later is a security officer's truck slowly going forward and crash into a parked vehicle. With all of the options that number 5, presumably the shooter, had to escape, he chose to engage the security officer. He could have ran into the wood line, but he chose violence.
That's the story.
Right. He chose violence that day.
Right.
So at this point in the investigation, Detective Williams has a lot of evidence. He's got 8 shell cases, 9mm. He's got video that basically captures all 5 suspects. He's got a phone that's left on scene. He's got a lot of work to do. JB screens the security video countless times, searching for clues to ID the suspects. You have to study that video like it's the birth video of your first child.
The shooter initially had on a mask, and once he got into the bay, he took it off. But the camera wasn't, I wouldn't say that great, where you can kind of identify him from the video.
Making progress?
I think so. What do you see?
You can just tell by the face of the individual that took off his mask and their mannerism and moving throughout the dealership. You can tell that they were younger guys.
Like, look at their clothes. They look like teenagers.
What really catches JB's eye is the shooter's distinct clothing.
You recognize this brand?
No.
He had on a hoodie that stood out. That wasn't like a regular hoodie. It was black with white writing on it.
That little detail, that white writing on that hoodie, that could be the one thing that helps solve this case.
Let me show you something else. I think I found the suspect's vehicle. It's like a silver gray SUV.
The diligence of Detective J.B. Williams reveals that a silver vehicle was lurking around right before those males emerged from the wood line.
We knew that was the vehicle that drove these individuals to this incident.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Albert.
Detective Williams is hoping that this vehicle he identified on video is key in helping identify the suspects. After some digging, the detectives discover the silver SUV in the video is likely a Kia Sorento.
Just in case it belonged to the suspects, he put out a bolo for this vehicle. In the meantime, JB decided to focus on other dealership break-ins. These were happening frequently throughout the metro Atlanta area at the time of the homicide.
JB pores over the police database. We have to look at other crimes that are similar in the neighborhood, especially close in proximity, and in this case, dealerships. He quickly gets a hit.
Here we go.
We did find one that happened in Marietta 4 to 5 hours after this incident. It was another case the same night where some guys entered a dealership and attempted to steal some cars. I felt like there may be a connection.
He finds out in that break-in, they also had 5 suspects involved.
Did they shoot anybody?
No one was hurt in that other case, but you still gotta connect with that detective, see if he's got video.
What evidence do you have? You have a video.
He's gotta consider these are the same guys.
Great, send it over. Thank you.
Looking into that other dealership burglary, we thought we were hot on the offender's trail.
You got to connect those dots.
They just sent over the video. Something's off.
Once we got that video, we did notice the guys entering the dealership, and they seemed like they were older than the guys that broke into the dealership where the homicide occurred. You can see the guys in the stature and the build. These guys just seem older and organized. You get a lead and you think it's promising, and then you look into it and it doesn't pan out. It was kind of disappointing.
Four days after the murder, JB gets positive news.
JB?
Detective Williams learns that the processing of the iPhone found on scene is completed. This is go time.
What's the name? Irving Smith.
We did link that phone to a 22-year-old black male that was local, that lived not too far from the dealership.
So now this is all matching up. He probably has one of the 5 people identified.
Okay, thank you.
We got right on it and went out to his residence.
Irving Smith better be able to explain how his phone is on J.B. Williams' murder scene.
We got with uniform patrol to assist us in going out to the house. We do that to be on the safe side.
Police, open up.
This is the moment where he's going to possibly come face to face with the shooter. This is gonna go one of 2 ways, either really, really good or really, really bad.
What's the name? Irving Smith.
Detective J.B. Williams catches a break in the Henry Ashley homicide investigation.
A cell phone recovered from the crime scene leads him to a potential suspect, a guy named Irving Smith.
He heads to Irving's home with no idea what to expect.
Police, open up.
We knew that this possibly could be the shooter, so we were being extremely careful.
Irving Smith?
We told him we needed to speak with him about an incident that we were investigating.
No big deal. Got an issue down in the office we need to clear up.
A lot of times what we'll do is, we'll tell this person who we think is significantly involved in our investigation, we just want to get your name out of it, so we got to get it on paper.
He was pretty cooperative. He went with us to headquarters. We advised him of his Miranda rights, and he did advise he wanted to speak with us.
What can you tell us about the night of February 19th?
I don't remember.
He was cagey with Detective Williams. He wasn't really being upfront.
Did you lose an iPhone?
I don't think he understood the severity of what we were investigating.
Come on, man. This is a homicide, and we found your phone at the scene.
Once we got to the point where we told him what we were investigating, he started to become more cooperative.
I wasn't in no murder.
So start talking.
He had something to hide, and Detective Williams had to get to the bottom of it.
We have your phone, so don't lie.
All right. I was robbed.
What do you mean?
Irving describes an incident from the day before the murder.
He told us that he was at this complex off Boulder Crest Road, waiting to make a transaction with someone about some bank cards. They used bank cards to copy innocent victims' card numbers to retrieve their money from their bank account.
Next thing I know, these dudes came up and they robbed me of my phone.
When you hear a story like that, I mean, it sounds like BS, totally made up.
Yeah, my default is I don't believe you.
Come on, man.
I'm serious. There was a whole crew of them.
Several young individuals, all black males, teenagers, robbed him, and they took his phone.
We got people coming out of a wood line on a murder scene working in concert as a group. This robbery mimics that behavior.
It is a high crime area, so it was not out of the ordinary that this may happen.
I'm telling the truth, I swear. I can prove it.
So crazy as this may seem, Detective Williams was able to verify text messages to his friends telling them, I just got robbed of my phone. So the phone that put Irvin Smith in this crime scene now has taken him out and alibied him out. He is not one of the 5 suspects.
You're free to go.
It was kind of back to the drawing board to see what the next steps would be.
With Irvin ruled out of this crime scene, Detective Williams shifted his focus to the Kia Sorento that was captured in the surveillance video.
He didn't believe the killers owned the SUV, so he checked to see if any were stolen in the area where the cell phone was taken, and he hit pay dirt. A woman in Stonecrest reported a gray Kia Sorento being stolen from her home on the same day as the homicide, and it still hadn't been recovered.
JB thought it's gotta be the vehicle, so he went on a relentless search to find it.
Once we found information about the Kia Sorento and the area that it was stolen from, we went out to the area of the stolen iPhone to see if it was maybe ditched in the apartment complex or a park or anything, or a business nearby.
Baby.
We've had cases where we have done this, but we have never actually found the car ourselves. That's a needle in a haystack.
I started to go through the different complexes and immediately noticed a gray Kia Sorento backed into a parking space.
I think I see the suspect's vehicle.
The suspects could still be driving.
Looks like a silver or gray SUV.
Detective J.B. Williams has identified the getaway vehicle in his murder.
The SUV was stolen on the morning of the homicide, and it hadn't been recovered.
Baby.
Finding that SUV could be the actual key to solving this case.
I think I see the suspect's vehicle.
JB proceeds with caution.
Stand by.
I pulled into an adjacent parking spot, and I sat there for a second to see if someone may enter the vehicle.
With no activity, JB finally heads for a closer look. The VIN number is a match to the stolen SUV.
It's our vehicle.
While looking at the VIN and looking inside the vehicle, I can see a Dodge Key with a dealership tag on it. And by seeing that, I knew that this possibly was a vehicle that was used in the homicide.
The fact that J.B. Williams himself actually went out and found this stolen car was the most incredible piece of evidence so far in this case.
That's over the top. I mean, that sounds like
I'm not making
elementary.
it up. That is incredible.
But this just goes to show Detective J.B. Williams is a bona fide dog in them streets. A thorough search of the vehicle comes up empty and clues leading to the suspects, and the case quickly turns cold. Even though J.B. Williams didn't find that tangible evidence like fingerprints, DNA, you're confirming to yourself as a detective working the case you're on the right trail. DeKalb County Police decided to turn up the heat. So on March 1st, they issued a $10,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest.
Authorities are increasing the reward to $10,000.
JB also released the surveillance video to the media, hoping someone would recognize the suspects.
We solved a lot of cases in our careers going this route. But as a detective, you always have to weigh the risk of putting too much information out there versus the reward of someone calling in. JB, he had that same dilemma. He made a choice and hoped for the best.
You can't watch the phone nonstop because you're not sure if someone's gonna call in or not.
But it isn't long before the phone starts ringing with tips.
One young lady called in and said that she believed that one of the offenders worked at a tire shop within the Decatur area. We also received information from a middle school of a principal saying that he knew who the offenders were. We looked into the information and it didn't pan out.
So many times, David and I have been on a case and we're honing in on the right suspect, only to find out it's not the right suspect. And that's Homicide 101. JB doesn't wait long for the next potential lead.
All right, what information you had?
I really have a lot of information.
We received a tip of someone saying that they know exactly who the person was.
The one with the hoodie that has the writing and stuff on it.
She recognizes that black hoodie with the white writing all over it, and this is the same person that J.B. Williams believes is the shooter.
All right, can you at least just tell me how you know it's him, this guy?
I know his face.
My brain would swell up if I heard that information come from a caller. That is a bam moment.
The hoodie belongs to my son. I really have a lot of information.
A phone call puts Detective J.B. Williams one step closer to solving the case.
This is a distinctive hoodie. The hoodie belongs to my son. That's number one.
What she says leaves J.B. speechless.
What's your son's name?
He needs to meet this kid ASAP.
I called my son going off on my son. I was like, what the hell? He was like, I didn't wear that hoodie. He was like, that's not me.
That hoodie was her son's hoodie, and he allowed his cousin to borrow the hoodie.
Okay.
Bring the hoodie in, but I don't want my son or my name tag or anything.
We began to look into the number because she did not want to give information as to who she was. So we look into the number they called and locate an address for the individual that called to give the tip.
You need a search warrant. You got to go to that house and get your hands on that hoodie, and you got to do it legally.
Armed with a warrant, JB headed to the home. The tipster and her son, a teenager named Lamont, were not there. There were other family members in the home, and they allowed the detective to search the place.
JB wasn't able to find a hoodie or any other evidence connected to the case. However, the family members actually called the woman, and she agreed to bring her son into the homicide unit to have an interview.
It's really important, because it's pretty serious. When investigating a homicide, that you be honest with us about what's going on.
Lamont is adamant he had nothing to do with the homicide.
I had told him I wasn't gonna stop wearing my stuff.
He says he gave the hoodie to his cousin, 16-year-old Samaj Johnson. So now he's injected another name.
But my mom had picked me up. She was just going off. I ain't know what she was going on about. I was just totally confused. She told me, I spotted you on your hoodie. What you been doing? Where you been at?
He told us he wasn't aware of Samaj breaking into the dealership, and he claimed to just be a homebody and stays at home and not really get into what his cousin gets into. In the midst of us interviewing the caller's son, we contacted Samaj Johnson's parents to have him come to the office so we can speak with them.
I don't know who it is. You better run it.
J.B. Williams has to consider he may be telling the truth, that hoodie really did transfer from him to his cousin. While waiting for Samaj to show up, JB begins some preliminary background checking on the young man.
JB learned that Samaj got into a little trouble while he was in high school. He'd been into some fights, things of that nature, but there really wasn't any more information. With juveniles, if they've gotten themselves in trouble in the past, that information is sealed. And it's protected by the law. We can't even see it, and we damn sure can't use it.
JB was gonna have to go into this interview ice cold and only confront him with the crime that he was investigating. Later that same day, Samaj Johnson arrives for questioning.
With him being a juvenile, so both his mother and father was inside the interview room at this time.
Let's begin.
We just started to ask him his whereabouts on the night in question and try to get him to tell us what happened that night.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
So this is the thing. Let me tell you, this is the thing. We know you was there, so we just want to know what happened that night.
I wasn't there.
He denied knowing about what was going on. and claimed to not be there at the incident.
You didn't have no mask on your face.
No, that wasn't my face.
Yep. Listen, Samaj, real fast. I'm telling you, it was you.
We got to a point where we believed that he wasn't going to give us any more than he was already giving us.
You're not leaving us much of a choice here.
Even without solid evidence tying him to the murder, JB makes a move.
You're not gonna waste all night, but we'll explain out what's next.
So we asked the parents to step out the room. We want to tell them the next step in the process. He's going to be under arrest, and we want to take him into custody.
Listen, we're charging him with murder.
From our experience, once you drop the big M, the murder, on a person and tell them that's where we're headed, that gets them dancing a different tune. I mean, that's the real life.
Whoa, wait, can we just talk, just us?
He got my attention and asked to speak with me alone. I went to ask the parents if I can continue to talk with their son alone, and they advised that I could.
All right, let's hear it.
This is the moment that every detective wants, where you know you're about to get to the truth, about to get to the bottom of what really happened to your victim.
JB is about to hear a story that blows him away.
It's not what you think.
Let's begin.
The Henry Ashley murder case seems to be coming to a close.
I wasn't there.
Listen, we know you were there.
Detective J.B. Williams has identified at least one of the suspects, a teenager named Samaj Johnson.
Can we just talk, just us?
Anytime a detective gets a coattail pull from a suspect, that's the moment of truth. This kid wants to say something.
It's not what you think.
J.B. Williams is finally about to get some answers.
I mean, yeah, I was wearing the hoodie, but this whole thing's not my fault.
Samaj Johnson tells Detective Williams a crazy story.
He was walking down the street and encountered some guys that ended up kidnapping him and forced him to break into the dealership.
Like, here we go. Like, how many times have we heard this story before?
He knew he was lying, but you gotta let him get it out.
But then they gave me the ski mask, and then they gave me a hoodie. They gave me that hoodie that y'all talking about. Boom.
They told him to, once you get to the dealership, to go get some keys from the service bay.
Tell me about the security guard.
That guy spotted me.
He told me exactly what we saw on video, that the security guard backed up and spoke to him.
You shot him?
No way.
He said once the security guard backed up and spoke to him, he immediately heard gunshots.
Shots just started firing.
Samaj goes on to say that these people just started shooting out of the woods.
Who shooting for them woods?
You telling me literally like 50% of the truth?
No.
That's total BS, because what we know is shell cases are found right by our victim's security truck. Samaj changes his story.
He then told me that it was a male that came around the corner from where they were standing.
Why isn't that guy on camera running away?
By the video, we knew that there was no one else out there other than him and the security guard. He placed himself on scene, and if he was the guy wearing that hoodie, we knew that he was the shooter. That was the only other person it could be.
I was there, but I didn't kill him.
He pretty much admitted to me everything that he did other than shooting the security guard.
Your story doesn't make any sense. Who were the guys you were with?
I told you everything.
The lies he's filling the room with are not even consequential to a successful conviction.
Based on all of the evidence, we believe that these 5 individuals went to that dealership that night to steal some cars. Some of the offenders that entered the dealership got away from the security guard. And that last one that didn't get away was cornered by Mr. Ashley.
Samaj being 16 years old and not being experienced in crime, not being experienced in life, panicked and fired his weapon in an attempt to get away, thinking that a security officer is going to grab him and take him into custody. It's still murder. In Georgia, it's felony murder. But whether he had malice in his heart and he showed up that day, the evidence doesn't suggest that's what his intent was.
I guess that's it then.
It's time to pull the plug and move this young man on to the next facility.
On the booking.
"12 days after the murder, 16-year-old Samaj Johnson was charged with burglary and murder.
He still refuses to name any of the other 4 suspects.
A judge rules that Samaj will be tried as an adult.
His attorneys make a deal with the district attorney's office to plead to manslaughter. 20 years for the voluntary manslaughter charge and 5 years for the gun. To serve that, even at 16 years old, that's a long sentence. But at the end of the day, Samaj Johnson is where he needs to be to serve his sentence for the crime that he committed.
It was a very rewarding case for Detective Williams.
So this kid wouldn't talk to anybody, but he chose you. He chose you, and you were the only person he would talk to. What do you think that is?
Yeah, so during the beginning of the interview, I told him a few things about what we knew, and I believe that he knew that I wasn't playing around. He knew it was time to come forward and tell what happened that night.
And even though he didn't give a classic confession, the fact that he put himself on the scene in the midst of shell casings and a business, we call that a confession.
When I think back at this case, I think of 2 different things that are happening simultaneously. We have a poor victim who is working a midnight shift to raise his
faces a horrific crime.
I found a dead body in a trash can.
This looked like a ritualistic killing.
A detective with a passion to solve the case.
I know that it was similar to my aunt's case. It's bringing back some horrible memories.
A dark motive.
And she is marked on his door, and he won't let her in.
Comes to light.
Did she witness anything?
He said that she had gotten into a U-Haul.
But nothing.
Why you got blood out?
Is as it seems.
Hey, did we have a warrant? He came out and told me that she had got in a van with 2 grand.
Until the case reaches a shocking conclusion.
Man, did you realize I almost hung myself?
Are you kidding me right now? This is crazy. We spent our careers solving Atlanta's most puzzling homicides.
But there are other investigators just like us.
With the passion and skills needed to solve the most unbelievably challenging murders.
These are their cases.
We're on Boulevard in the old 4th Ward section of Atlanta. Driving through this neighborhood feels so nostalgic.
I was an old 4th Warder. I used to live right around the corner from here at one point.
When we worked this beat, we had really hard-working people over here just trying to pay their rent. You got junkies living in the neighborhood. You got other people living in lavish million-dollar homes, all mixed up living down here together.
This place brings back so many memories.
In fact, back in 2015, when we were winding down our careers, there was a wild case that started at this very spot.
Atlanta 911, what is the address of your emergency?
The corner of Highland and Howell Street. I found a dead body in a trash can.
How old does the person appear to be?
I can't tell. I mean, the only thing showing is the feet.
Officers quickly secure the crime scene, and rookie homicide detective Calvin Thomas is assigned lead on the case.
I had been in homicide 9 months at the time that this call came up. I'm still trying to figure things out. I'm still trying to find my footing on how to work a homicide at this particular point. I noticed that there's this big grassy field Everyone is up underneath this brush of trees that are up there. Everyone is trying to figure out what's going on.
We worked with Calvin back then and took him under our wings.
Calvin Thomas was eager, but he was so humble. And he was like a sponge. And I was really taken aback by his humility and his presence of just trying to understand how this whole homicide things work.
But this was a real murder investigation where the training wheels were coming off, and Calvin was essentially going to have to bring this thing on his own.
The information that I received on this case is that they responded to a call of a person found possibly deceased in a Herbie Kirby. A Herbie Kirby is a trash can. It's what we call in Atlanta. You can see that the person is head first, wrapped up in a blue moving blanket, where they are actually tied with 12-gauge wire. You can't tell whether it's a male or female at that particular time. All you see is their actual shoes.
Let's take a closer look.
The victim is pulled out and laid down, trying to determine how did this person end up the way they ended up.
The victim's a woman.
She had abrasions on her face. She had taken a serious beating. I mean, it's an awful thing to think about what this sister went through, and she probably knew she was going to die.
My mind is kind of really all over the place because it's bringing back some horrible memories at the time. My aunt was murdered in October of 2003. She was located next to an actual dumpster.
Her name was Cassandra Bryant. She was beaten to death. Her body was discarded like a piece of trash. And Quinn and I worked that case like no other case. We made her death matter. And we put that person in prison for killing his aunt.
The top guys in homicide worked my aunt's murder. So it meant a lot to me at that time.
This poor victim is found discarded like a piece of trash. And now Calvin Thomas is the lead detective in a case eerily similar to his own aunt's case.
It was hard at that particular time, but I knew I needed to stay focused, stay professional, and do the job that I needed to do. So our victim at this time does not have an ID, so we didn't know a name or anything associated with the victim.
She's a Jane Doe for now.
As Calvin works the scene, I decide to pay him a visit. I heard the call come up on the radio as I'm heading home that day. I said I want to go by and watch my guy in action.
Knowing that this victim was wrapped in a blanket, put into a trash container, we know right away there's a personal connection between this victim and her killer.
She knew her killer.
The killer's got to get rid of this evidence. They have to push this body to a space that's far away from where they are, because there can be no connection between the killer and the victim. And that's exactly what happened.
I'm thinking about who was her boyfriend, who was the last person she was with. That's kind of what I'm thinking, possibly a domestic violence type incident.
Killers are local.
So what's next?
Outside in.
I learned this from Quinn. You work the scene from the outside in, and that means so whatever the crime scene tape is, what's going on the outside of that tape. You know, concerned neighbors, just to see whether or not they saw anything.
We immediately meet a guy who claims to be looking for his girlfriend. His name is Isaiah Rhymes. He'd been missing his girlfriend for over 24 hours, and he wanted to make sure that wasn't her that was inside the trash can.
What's your girlfriend's name?
Tina.
He identifies her as Tina Bass. He says everyone calls her Tiny, though. She said this corridor is where she hangs out.
I last saw her about 2 days ago.
He says it's totally uncommon for her not to have reached out to her sister or to himself in 24 hours.
Describe her.
She's
kind of short.
The information that he gives for Tina, as far as her height, her weight, or what she was last seen wearing, it could definitely be our victim.
Is that her up there?
Isaiah definitely is nervous about it.
Is this her?
Calvin shows him a picture of the victim's face.
Oh, no. Lord, no.
He breaks down. He makes the identification, tears coming down his face. Calvin wonders if Isaiah's tears are real, or is this just an act to make himself appear innocent?
In our past experience, cases where especially a woman has been killed, the boyfriend has done it.
I have questions for you.
I'm really looking at Isaiah really hard at this particular time as a suspect.
This case is about to take Detective Thomas on a wild ride.
There's a wire around her neck.
Detective Calvin Thomas is investigating the murder of Tina Bass.
Killer's a local.
Her body was found stuffed inside of a trash can.
I last saw her about 2 days ago.
Calvin's on it. He interviews Tina's boyfriend to get to the bottom of this thing.
He's distraught and crying, but maybe it's all an act.
I have questions for you.
Right now, I'm looking at Isaiah as a potential suspect. How she was beaten, I relate a lot of that to domestic violence.
Y'all think I did this? Did you kill her?
No. I can see Isaiah is starting to get a little hot under the collar because of the line of questioning that Calvin Thomas is presenting to him.
I'm sure that you wouldn't mind providing a DNA sample.
Our experience, most of the time, killers don't readily give up their DNA. There's a hesitation.
Sure.
Isaiah immediately responded that he could take his DNA, use it, compare it, do whatever he needed to do to try to eliminate him as a suspect.
I think in my mind that Isaiah is possibly not involved in Tina's murder. Getting the information from Isaiah on the scene of the victim's sister, I was able to contact the sister to let her know that I wanted to come see her. Death notifications are definitely one of the hardest parts of the job. I try to do them face to face.
I'm so sorry.
I knew this day would come.
Tina's sister gave Calvin the background on Tina. She said that Tina was battling drug addiction, and like many people, it had an unbreakable hold on her.
It may have played a part in her death, but as a homicide detective, we do not judge a victim's lifestyle.
No matter who dies, everyone deserves justice.
Do you think Isaiah may have done this?
No.
I'll be in touch.
Tina's sister didn't have any idea of who could have committed the crime in this particular case.
Hello? Okay, I'm on my way.
Calvin gets word that Tina's autopsy is complete. He hopes to learn something that can help solve the case. We meet with Calvin to go over the findings.
They said there was blunt force trauma to the face, to the head area, and strangulation. The ligature that was around her neck was white. It's white wire. Matter of fact, I have a couple photos of it that I can show you guys. It was fairly loose around her neck, so it was kind of hard to determine whether or not this was used to strangle her. Send it down to the GBI for touch DNA. I mean, the yellow wire here, as you can, I mean, it's tied like a Boy Scout tied it. So I'm thinking, you know, hands, sweat, anything of that nature could be on it. Because I felt like this was probably going to be a DNA type of a case.
We're looking at DNA, also fingernails. One of the things you did was, cleverly, you preserved those nails.
Just from talking to her sister, actually, she said she was a fighter, so I'm almost certain that she fought for her life.
Yeah.
So at that point, we knew, you know, let's go ahead and clip these fingernails and preserve those and send those down to GBI for testing. I believed at that time could be the killer's DNA underneath.
Nice. So now you send this off to the GBI and it's waiting game. You're waiting for this DNA to come back. What do you do next?
We went back out to the neighborhood, man. I wanted to let the neighbors know that hey, I'm here and we're gonna try to figure out what happened to your friend Tina.
This is not a homicide that you're gonna sit at your desk and work. This is boots on the ground. This is grinding up shoe leather. I love it. Calvin heads out to Old Fourth Ward on a mission.
Boots on the ground is a term that we use up in homicide. You can't solve a homicide by sitting at your desk all day. So you definitely want to get out there and knock on doors, let the community know that we're trying to solve this crime. The community kept pointing towards a guy by the name of Jeff. And not that he was a suspect in the case, but that he possibly would have information on the case.
The streets were saying Jeff was action news for Old Fourth Ward. If anything went on in Old Fourth Ward, Jeff was gonna know about it.
What about this guy?
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's him.
Calvin knew there's something there. People aren't making that up. He had to go sit down and do a face-to-face with Jeff.
Jeff identifies himself as Jeffrey Bolton.
I'm Detective Thomas.
Calvin records audio of the interview.
I want to talk to you about Tanya. You know her?
Yeah, we was at the house.
Did you witness anything?
Jeff claims that he saw Tina the night before her body was found. When Jeff discloses that he saw Tina the night before the murder, I'm sure it got Detective Thomas excited. I would have been like, oh yeah, my timeline just changed in a big damn way.
Where do you live?
Right there.
The actual street is right across the street from where the victim is located. So it's within walking distance from the house that Jeff lives in. According to Jeff, he and Tina was standing outside, I guess just having a conversation. And then this U-Haul just randomly came down Mackenzie Drive and stopped in front of his house.
I see a U-Haul truck came up the street. Big U-Haul truck.
He starts to talk about two Hispanic males got out of the vehicle and asked where were the ladies. And Tina identified herself as, I'm right here.
I kind of don't know the folks. Don't go with the folks. You got in the truck right there, they ain't seen Tina sleep.
Based off Jeff talking about Tina getting in his car with two men, I mean, right now, the music is playing, so Calvin's got to start dancing.
What do these two guys look like?
Right now, Calvin's got two new suspects in Tina's murder.
I want to talk to you about Tina.
The Tina Bass homicide case is heating up.
The U-Haul truck came up the street. Big U-Haul truck.
Detective Calvin Thomas interviews a witness that says victim Tina Bass got into a vehicle with two unidentified men.
You got in the truck right there, they ain't seen Tina sleep.
So now the question is, could one or both of these individuals be the actual killer? Calvin presses Jeff Bolton for details about these mystery men.
Who should get in the truck with? Two men, right? I ain't get no names in that.
Only thing he really talked about was them being Hispanic.
Jeff's story raises a red flag.
It just didn't sound right. He glossed over that thing really quickly. There was no detail involved. While it was in Calvin's head, all I would hear is, yeah, right. He wasn't buying.
What else do you remember?
Suddenly, Jeff adds a new wrinkle to his story.
I had saw Tiny again.
According to Jeff, minutes later they came back where he states that Tina asked for a blanket.
She come back.
States that Tina asked for a blanket.
She come back to my door and look for a quilt to lay on. I gave her a new quilt. She said, I'm gonna bring it back. I ain't seen the Tina or the quilt.
He's brought this blanket up, and being that this is a piece of evidence that we located on the scene, I'm definitely interested more in what Jeff has to say about Tina.
Calvin wonders if Jeff is misleading him.
Quinn and I have had cases in the past where the suspect actually inserts themselves in the investigation. I hearken back to the Cassandra Bryant case, Calvin Thomas's aunt that was killed in 2003. The killer pretended to be a concerned citizen, helping with the case at first.
Is it possible that Calvin's case is shadowing his aunt's murder once again?
Calvin Thomas had to consider who's inserting themselves in this case and why are you bringing in all this other scenario of a U-Haul truck and blankets.
You don't know anything about the murder? No.
The DNA that potentially could be found on victim Tina Bass is the most important key to solving this case, and Calvin Thomas knows that.
Will you consent to give up your DNA?
Fine. Let's go ahead and take the DNA, and let's see where we are.
Even though Jeff rises to the top of the suspect list, Calvin must first look into the men in the U-Haul.
We'll be in touch.
So you're having to take everything that you're learning and verify it?
Before following up on Jeff's lead, Calvin did a big media splash on the news. He was asking the public to call Crime Stoppers with any tips.
He then began canvassing the area of Mackenzie Drive, which is where Jeff Bolton claimed he saw Tina get into a U-Haul with two guys. Calvin quickly found a home with a security camera pointed towards the street where Tina allegedly got into that truck.
Calvin spoke with the homeowner who just happened to be Jeff's next-door neighbor. The guy didn't remember seeing a U-Haul truck the night that Tina disappeared, but he agreed to share the video.
At this point, Calvin really didn't have a lot of information, so this video was a huge deal. If Jeff was telling the truth or if he was lying, the video could crack this case wide open.
Back at the office, Calvin reviews the surveillance video.
You have to do your due diligence and try to identify whether or not his story is believable. Jeff gave a time of between 9 and 10 p.m. of when the U-Haul truck came down Mackenzie Drive.
Calvin doesn't see the truck. He doesn't spot any signs of Tina or Jeff either.
Calvin watched this video over and over for hours, and he saw nothing that would corroborate what Jeff said.
There's nothing on here.
So Jeff lied to me.
He could have been rinsed off with that video, but he's back in it. He goes right to the top of the suspect list.
So Calvin Thomas now, knowing that Jeff Bolton is lying, has to take a deeper dive onto just who Jeff Bolton is. Part of that, in the history of working any case, is criminal history. Does he fit the profile of someone capable of doing what was done to Tina Bass?
I can see that Jeff had about 27 cycles of arrests. He was a convicted felon as well, and mostly drug offenses, burglary, and crimes against persons as well.
That's a big damn moment because that shows that this ladder that he's climbing, it could have graduated on to murder.
It put me in the state of Jeff could definitely be a suspect in this case. So we definitely want to do a search warrant on the house.
Detective Thomas.
You're working the Tina Bass murder?
Yes.
It's the Crime Stoppers tip line. And they have a lead that's about to turn the case upside down.
We have a tipster saying they know who the killer is.
What do these two guys look like?
The key witness in the Tina Bass homicide investigation appears to be misleading police.
There's nothing on here.
Jeff Bolton's whole story looks like a complete lie. It's time to get a search warrant for Jeff Bolton's house.
You're working the Tina Bass murder?
Yes.
Just when it looks like Calvin Thomas's investigation is heading in one direction, it hits a detour.
We have a tipster saying they know who the killer is.
There's always a lot of twists and turns when you're looking for justice.
What's the name?
Michael Smith. He goes by the nickname Friezo, and Friezo killed Tyna.
So the tipster did state that Tyna and Friezo were drinking the night before the murder, and at some the murder, and at some point became upset with Tyna and began to strike her.
How does the tipster know this?
He didn't say, and he wanted to remain anonymous.
This is a detour that Calvin Thomas does not want to take, but he has to, because it's now looking like it's either going to be Friezo or it's going to be Jeff Bolton.
The first thing Calvin had to do was to vet Friezo out. He pulled Friezo's criminal history, and he had quite the lengthy record. Friezo wasn't in jail, and it was his current address that really stuck out. He lived in close proximity to the crime scene, so that was a big red flag.
At this point, Calvin turned his attention to Friezo. Police quickly tracked Friezo down and brought him to Homicide for an interview. It was time for Calvin to get some answers.
Friezo agrees to a videotaped interview.
I just don't formally introduce myself to you, okay? I'll take the time. My first name, Cal.
Friezo says he's known Tyna for a while.
Friezo also openly admits that his relationship with Tyna involves sex, drugs, and violence.
How often did you guys argue? Doing something? Anytime she was drunk.
He definitely came out and said that, you know, we fought all the time.
I want to click your name, you know what I'm saying? Because your name is suspect number one. I'm just keeping it real with you. Okay. All right.
Friezo adamantly denies killing Tyna.
And our people had to take a test. And I'll pay for it. So swallow me, please. Take my blood, whatever you gotta do. I don't kill it.
All right, man.
We do ask him to consent to a DNA swab where he does consent. So we take his DNA as well, and we send that off to the GBI for testing.
When Calvin continues the interview, Friezo swears he wasn't with Tyna, but he did in fact see her.
According to Friezo, the night before she's found dead, Tyna came by his house to get something to eat.
So when she came over, how long did she stay?
She didn't stay 5 minutes. So she longer. That's what's in out of me. I'm in the bathroom. When I came back out, she was gone.
He's got to figure out whether or not he's going to be culpable for this murder.
So we bring up things that the tipster talked about them drinking together, about how he may have gotten upset with her and began to strike her, but he became very defensive of that. And he just shut down.
Calvin doesn't give up.
We asked Friezo would he be open to taking a CVSA, which is a computer voice stress analyzer exam.
Friezo agrees to participate.
It's a test where it takes stress in a person, and it will give a score regarding your answers.
Usually what it does is it's just going to rule you out as any involvement with anything. That's what we're here for today, right?
Basically, they're asking questions they would ask in a polygraph.
I'm not here to trick you.
But they're listening to your voice.
Just talk normal like being you are, we're good to go, man.
The person that's trained in this machine can ask some control questions to find out what your level of truthfulness is.
Are we in the city of Atlanta?
And then ask the hard questions.
Did you see Jeff choke Tiny?
No.
Did you choke Tiny?
No.
Out of the blue, Friezo makes a shocking statement.
I have talked to you before.
What do you mean by that?
I have talked to you before.
It was mind-boggling for me to even hear him say that.
I have talked to you. I ain't talked to you.
So the last time you jumped her?
About 4 or 5 months ago.
4 or 5 months.
Last year. I think back in this year.
He's choked Tyna Bass in the past, and Tyna Bass later is choked to death. That's a clue in the business. One would have to consider, and Calvin Thomas did, that Friezo is the guy.
The new version of a polygraph test.
Friezo, a suspect in the Tyna Bass murder, agrees to do a vocal stress test.
Did you choke Tyna?
No.
And Friezo makes a damning statement.
I have talked to you before.
So the last time you jumped her?
Last year. I think back in this year.
Friezo might be the killer.
You didn't choke her on the day in question?
No, I didn't.
For him to say that, he's choked her before, definitely sent my spidey senses up on that one. So after the exam is completed, we go over the results of the exam.
He had a lot of stress, and that's what it good.
This test shows he's being deceptive.
So we have a problem. Okay. And I know when you said that you had choked her in the past, you tell us into Thomas that?
No, we're fine.
You never told me you choked her though.
Friezo doesn't have a response to his deception. He just pretty much met us with anger.
Okay, I ain't lying.
Don't get angry with me.
I never seen it lying.
No, it's not.
I never seen it as bullshit, man. That's bullshit. Because I was at home, man.
Just because Friezo showed deception, that's not anything Calvin Thomas could have held him for. Can't arrest him. It's not even admissible in court.
I think I'm gonna stop this because I know who I was. I know I ain't did it. Because I will never arrest him.
You gotta let him go.
Friezo walking out of that door definitely left me feeling like he was involved in this murder.
After the interview, Calvin gets word that the search warrant for Jeff Bolton's home is approved.
We go out and we serve a search warrant at Jeff's house.
I joined Calvin on the search. I'm just an extra set of eyes. I'm an experienced detective that knows what to look for, so Calvin Thomas asked me to come with him.
Hey, BD, we have a warrant.
No one answered the door, so we had to force entry. Literally using a battering ram, had to bust the front door open to get inside this house.
The house is extremely dirty, it's filthy. We were looking for blood. We were looking for moving blankets. We were looking for the electrical wiring that the victim was tied up in as well.
And as I traversed down this hallway, I looked down and I saw a reddish-brown substance that I was very familiar with. A substance I've seen many times in my career.
Come. What's up, man? Check it out.
And I pointed down, and Detective Thomas looked at it and said, "Yeah, V, that's blood."
We got him.
First thing that goes to my head is, I think we found our crime scene.
This evidence could break the case wide open.
Yo, John, come get a photo of this. Let's keep going.
My first big find was a bloody shoe print that was on the floor of the house. So we swabbed that shoe print.
As we continue doing the search warrant at Jeff Bolton's house, we both look at each other and we're like, no way. There's a blue moving blanket identical to the one that Tyna Bass is wrapped in.
You crossing Friezo off the suspect list? I don't know if we can do that just yet.
Right now, our boy Calvin's got his hands full. He's got this really compelling case with Jeff. So is the killer Jeff? Is it Friezo? Or is it both of them?
Well, DNA test should sort it out.
Suddenly, Calvin gets a surprise visitor.
Hey, Jeff Bolton's outside. Wants to talk to you guys.
It's all adding up, and the sum of all totals we're looking at right now is named Jeff Bolton.
Come with some answers.
Calvin brought Jeff to the homicide office and did round 2 with him. He asked Jeff about the blood found in his home. Jeff claimed that Tina had tripped and cut herself and explained that's why there was blood in the house. It didn't make sense, and Jeff said he didn't do it, and he said all he's going to say.
With no hard evidence against him, Jeff was allowed to leave. But Calvin told him, we're going to be speaking again. Days passed by with no new leads, and the forensic testing had yet to be completed.
Calvin believed in his heart that Jeff was involved, and he decided to take another run at him.
Jeff, hop in so we can have a word.
Calvin heads over to Jeff's house and convinces him to have a chat in his car.
I put my mic on and just went right in and started speaking to him.
Calvin decides to use a new tactic with Jeff.
Many times detectives have to introduce an alternative reality. He now has to give him something. It's called an out.
Let me ask you this. Was it an accident?
Huh?
Was it an accident?
Yeah.
Jeff actually jumped on. He latched on to that idea of it being an accident.
Why was it an accident? Just tell me that.
I felt like it was like the sun really came out.
Cause it wasn't meant to happen.
I was like, oh my God, like we're almost there.
Jeff, hop in so we can have a word.
Jeff Bolton, the prime suspect in the Tina Bass murder, seems to be on the verge of confessing.
While speaking with Jeff, I wanted to at least give him an out for if he did commit this murder.
Was it an accident?
Yeah.
That was brilliant on Calvin Thomas's part to ask that question. If it was a mistake or you didn't mean it to happen, go ahead and tell me.
Why was it an accident? Just tell me that.
Cause it wasn't meant to happen.
I felt like we're almost there. Just keep plugging along, keep plugging along.
Who caused the accident itself?
The other two people.
Okay, I don't know, but
it wasn't Friezo. I'm just trying to make sure. Friezo ain't in this.
It was like he was freeing him from it, and I couldn't understand why.
I was drunk. I knew I was good and drunk.
And that's why it was an accident, right? Because you were drunk, stuff happened, right?
No, I ain't talking about me. With other folks right in my mouth.
Who was other folks, Jeff?
He's all over the place. He's talking about he hadn't had any sleep, how he wanted to kill himself.
Man, did you realize I almost hung myself? Did you realize I almost took an overdose of pee?
Let's stay focused on this accident. I wasn't going to let it go until I got a little bit more information.
Tell me what you remember, and then I'll work with you on the rest of that.
Okay. Come to the house.
Okay. Now, is you tight end? Who else?
Your daddy.
That's when he interjects Little Donnie into the scene.
Who was Little Donnie?
Guy around and get high and crazy.
According to Jeff, they were smoking crack, and Little Donnie became upset with Tina for some reason. And Little Donnie is the one that hit Tina in the face. Jeff stated that he left and came back to the house. No one was there. Very convenient.
There's no such thing as a Little Donnie. This is a crutch put together by Jeff Bolton just to get suspicion away from his name.
I just want to hear the truth.
I don't know what I did.
Okay.
If I did, then I ain't need to do it.
That's exactly the result that Calvin Thomas was looking for. An innocent person doesn't say that.
All right, Jeff. We're done.
Calvin Thomas had affirmation and confirmation at that moment that he had the right guy.
But we wanted to be sure and wait on the results from the GBI. I'm thinking, at any day it could come in.
It takes 3 weeks before all the forensic testing is completed.
The blood that Ven and Detective Thomas found in Jeff Bolton's home comes back to actually being Tyna's blood.
Her boyfriend, Isaiah's DNA was not located anywhere on the victim. Friezo's DNA was not located on the victim.
And then upon further analysis, it's found that Jeff's DNA is under the fingernails of our victim, Tyna Bass. It's a rat. Jeff's the dude. The hands don't lie. Based on all the evidence and statements, Calvin pieces together what happened to Tyna Bass.
Tyna, Jeff, and another person that's unknown at this particular time were smoking crack cocaine. At some point, an argument ensued. A fight occurred. And Tyna was assaulted physically and strangled. Jeff rolled her up in a blanket, tied her up, and put her in the trash can to try to get rid of her. And so that's what I believe happened that particular night.
On April 13th, 2016, Jeff Bolton is charged with Tyna Bass's murder, but the case never goes to trial.
Jeff pleads guilty to murder, where he's ultimately sentenced to 30 years.
Congratulations on solving the case.
Thank you.
My
I appreciate
brother.
that.
Great job on that, man.
Great
job.
Thank you, man. It really meant a lot to get some justice for Tyna's family, man.
When I think about this case and everything that Calvin Thomas had to go through to find justice for Tyna Bass,
I got something.
and then the connection that Calvin Thomas has to myself